Adar. It's like it's been shenichnas Adar Marvin b'simcha. We increase in happiness and joy. It's a happy time. Marvin every day becomes more. The joy increases more and more and more. For tonight, which is most times we begin with the parsha, but this feeling because of these great days, especially days of joy, to continue on what we've been doing every week since the beginning of first Adar, which is to discuss something on the month based on Kabbalah, notably the Sefer Yetzirah, one of the earliest texts of Kabbalah, the book of creation or formation, if you want to call it, using that as the portal through which to discuss aspects of the month. And as I promised 5 weeks ago, that there's so much to discuss about Adar that there'll be enough for all 8 weeks. So now we'll continue, and I'm feeling to do that before the parsha. So we'll discuss Adar, at least two points we haven't addressed until now. So on the Adar, so last week we covered a lot more ground on all the different terms and meanings of the name of the word and name of Adar. So what we'll do is, let me see if I have that page. Yeah. So what we'll do is to share. Wait just 1 second. Yeah, so I'm going to share with you the it's not a cheat sheet, but it's it's a presentation sheet of different things that you see more visually. Just to finish up on the Adar itself. There'll still be for next week, but one thing we mentioned, on the one hand, the word, right, Adars, as we know the sign, will also hopefully maybe after Purim go more into the idea of the fish, but we know that, right, the zodiac sign is Pisces, fish, which swim, so it has this what you call a non-linearity, like a fish swimming. It's always in motion, like this, like the famous pre-Socratic Heraclitus, that all everything's in a flow and a motion, right? You can't step into the same river twice. Thing. All right, so we have that, and also I mentioned, did I include it here again in the names? I was supposed to. Maybe I didn't get to it. Also, that Idra is the name of a bone, of the fish bone in Gemara.
It's there. Scroll up again.
Oh yeah, I put it in here. Idra Shem Etzem Hadag, right? And we did mention it, so it's related to the fish. On the other hand, we also said that it has the idea of like planting this tree called Adar for solidity, for to authenticate, to make permanent one's property. From the word Adir, Bamarim Hashem, right? Adir, like being strong, not just above, but down here. And it's Adir with the Yud, like that, in the holy Yud in it. And also Aleph Dar, that we bring the Aleph of God in Dar to dwell down here. So it has these both ideas, both being in a constant flow of motion, what was it? Like non permanent, and then we also have this temporality in the sense of being not just time-wise, but even space-wise, things moving, like even generations move, generation to generation, dar v'dar, aleph dar, elef dar, 100,000 generations, and so on. Even truth. So the other point I did want to mention for the name Adar, and this I saw more recently, is here. That Adar is gematria 205, and 205 is the same gematria as the term bechesed mechusa, with concealed, covered kindness. That this plays into the same theme that we've been speaking about Adar in the last few weeks, every on the surface of the story of Purim and Adar in general, being in wintertime, everything seems regular, the directoire, everything working in natural course of events, even, being, what's the word? Being, the end of winter, things are more concealed. We did change the clock now, so now there's more light already starting. Also, and not to forget that spring officially begins in less than a week. Next Tuesday night, 11:06 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is also the most important day in Persian, on the Persian calendar, the non-Islamic Persian calendar, which is Nowruz, the new year, which begins the first second of spring, like the Rosh Hashanah. So it's that the real shift into spring will be this next Tuesday night, just so you know. So that's again bringing out revelation. Things starting to sprout. So that is when this chesed starts coming out, emerges more into the open. So what else? Okay, so now we're going to share with you something, the other main two themes that I want to cover for Adar, which I mentioned very briefly as a teaser last week, and that is that in the Sefer Yetzirah, there's always a human activity and a human body part that's associated with each month. So what we'll do is cover those two related to our month of Adar. And let me see. I think I have the Sefer Yetzirah line related to this, so we could just read it ourselves right now on your screen. Now, just so you know, the Sefer Yetzirah, the ancient Kabbalistic text, has two versions. There's a regular version. There's a version of the Vilna Gaon, which differs, especially when it comes to what letter corresponds to each month and what body part, things like that, is different than the one, if you want to call it the regular standard one or the Vilna Gaon one. For whatever reason, nowadays we follow mainly the Vilna Gaon version, just so you know. So okay, so like the letter, so again, each month has a letter, a body part, and a human activity. So let's see what this month is. Again, the Vilna Gaon version. This is straight from Sefaria. Himlich, so Oiskuf, so God gave coronated the letter Kuf. Every month is coronated. It has a letter that every month there's a certain letter that's coronated, meaning is the one who controls that month. So it's the letter Kuf, Bischaik, with the human activity of laughing. So the human activity of this month is laughing. Note that the word Schaik ends with a Kuf. Then Vikasha Keser, then he tied to it a crown, meaning it's not just Kuf is now the king, but the crown unifies the human activity with the letter. So every month, when it's described, it starts like that. You see, like the one before, if you sign with Tzaddik, it's Vikasha Keser, right? So the crown for the king of that letter. But Sarfim Zebazeh, and then, meaning he tied that crown for it and then brought them together. Vitzar Bahem Badagin, and with a combination of the letter Kuf and the human activity of laughing, then with that, God formed Pisces, the fish. That is how the zodiac is formed for every month. Right, Ba'ilam? And then Adar Bishana, and then he gave the name of this month Adar for the year cycle. That's our month. And what is the body part? Utuchayil benefesh, and it is the spleen of the person. Nefesh here doesn't mean just soul; it means the person, the body. Zachar and Nekeva, of both genders. So this is happening every month, that there's the body part of both, for both genders is there, and letter just differs what body part, what a human activity, da, da, da. Okay, and then being this is the last month, because it begins with Nisan, right? It begins over here. Where is it? Yeah, up early. Yeah, with the hay of Nisan, da da da. But so Adar's the last one, and then he has another line saying that then he took all the 12 zodiacs, laid them out like a trough, and like a wall, and like a battle, and like they say, even the stars, the different constellations that correspond to different months in the sky, look like different battalions or legions of the sky. It's even called Gedudav. The Gedudav, they Nispar, it says that the constellations are like army battalions up in the sky. So that's at this point. Okay, so here we see that our month is related to both laughing and to the spleen. So the question is, A, why laughter? B, why spleen? C, what's the connection between the two? Okay. So when we say the other is laughing, it makes a lot of sense, of course, right? What month do we have more this idea of laughing than this month, right? This month is Marvin B'Simcha, right? It's all about Simcha, joy. And if you're happy, you tend to laugh, right? So that seems like a no-brainer. But it's not so simple. Because laughing laughing usually has to do with joy. But there's more than one way of joy, of laughing, meaning there's and just like there's this more than one way of being happy. Meaning there is what we could call an externalish, frivolous, even silly way of being happy, a silly way of laughing, a way of laughter that is not really joyous. It's just coming to cover up really deep melancholy. There's right, even in the different forms of laughter. I'm sure we've heard the nervous laughing, the laughing when people are in trouble, the laughing when things are getting messed up, a laughing to let go of certain tension. But it's not that we're really happy. It's just a release of tension, but the tension is still there. A laughter of even absurdity of a negative experience. So we see laughing doesn't necessarily have to be that we're truly happy, or I'd say even more in another version, laughing at someone, putting down someone in laughter, being a really obnoxious comedian. Let's call it stand-up comedian who's just mocking people, let's say, laughing at someone's expense. I don't know why, just that old clown stand-up comic of The Simpsons is coming to mind. I forget his name, and others, and we know what?
Krusty, because he's Jewish.
Krusty, he's Jewish, right? So he's the Borscht Belt, right? Exactly. And how many of these stand-up comics are really happy? They're not, right? That's the whole point. Rusty is really all depressed, chain smoking and odd, and like really with his what's it called, with his broken up voice and crying at home and all that. Plus, we know traditionally there's the idea of the sad clown, right? Even goes back, I think, to classic times. Idea of the clown, with there's the smiley clown and there's the sad. So I think I remember as a kid at Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey, they still had the sad clown.
Pagliacci, the opera Pagliacci.
Pagliacci, right? Very good, thank you. Yes, I think very good. Yes.
And lest we forget Smokey Robinson, The Tears of a Clown, that famous hit record from our day.
Okay, yes, I'm not that familiar with that, but it sounds
Tears of a
familiar.
Clown.
Tears of a Clown, 100%. And guess what? There've been social studies that the last generation or two, kids are actually scared of clowns. There's this whole phenomenon, which is why clowns are good subjects for horror movies these days. So everyone has this implicit understanding that clowns are really sad and stuff.
Baruch, I have some memory of a Horowitz production where he made some Hasidic Maisa with an unhappy clown. Is there an unhappy clown that from the puppet show? The
puppets, yes.
The unhappy clown. Is there some Hasidic Maisa where there's a king and there's an unhappy clown?
I don't know if unhappy fool. Maybe in the Reb Nachman story. It could be the Reb Nachman story, but I don't remember it well enough. But it is a archetype, certainly, in children's stories, and I think it goes back for a while. The jester, the court jester. But the court jester will be is a thing. I'll tell you. I mentioned before we had this amazing evening in tribute of Mayor Becerra and of Shalom, and he wrote this amazing book. That was what the night was revolving around. This book called The Possible Man, in which he gives 4 archetypes of that to be and that he sees himself both as the smuggler, the boatman, I'm forgetting what the third one is, and the fourth one is the jester. Just a way bringing humor, comedy, lightness, happiness into a situation to diffuse, to bring joy. So much of the
Larry Moe and Curly.
Yeah, Larry Comurley, very good. Slapstick.
Larry Moe and Curly, the Three Stooges.
Yes, 100%. I'll tell you honestly.
Yiddish
what they were what three
Yiddish Bucher.
Yeah. So as the Marx brothers were Groucho Marx and
Larry.
So much of American comedy is Jewish. Red Skeleton and this one and Mel Brooks and all the way till our day, like Larry David and
Red Buttons, Buddy Hackett, Shecky Green. These guys could make you piss in your pants.
Yeah, right.
Don Rickles, insult.
Don Rickles, right? Insult comedy. What was his name? I don't get respect.
Rodney Dangerfield.
Red Dangerfield. He had his club, the comedy club on the East Side. I remember. So much of the Jewish reason to humor has to do because we went through so much suffering that we are not only have gone through in the past tense, we almost embody so much trauma. So ironically, that allows us to be and suffering minorities are very good comedians. Like the African American community has amazing, great comedians too, and we don't even have to mention the full list. We all know. So there's something of how close again that suffering to let's call it comedy or laughter for lack of a better word. So yeah, and then there's the other point that so this is what. Okay, I had another point. Hopefully it'll come back. But what we're driving at here is back to Mayor Becerra. I was just going to say that even though he saw himself as the Rebbe's jester, and he had, I remember different episodes, and he told me stories how he just saw himself at some point. He's just there to make the Rebbe smile and laugh, and he had more than one story doing it, like even running around near the Rebbe's office, popping up and making the Rebbe smile, laugh, etc. And he saw himself always being like this holy fool towards the Rebbe. But the mayor was also into this idea of holy madness, shtus of kedusha. Holy folly, let's call it.
Did he ever get into that?
Did he ever get what? I didn't hear you. Did he ever get what?
Did he ever get the Rebbe Tlat?
Yes, that's the whole point. Including in his office.
He did.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yes, that's what he did.
So what is the spiritual connection to laughter in our soul?
Okay, we're getting there. So let me just say, that's why I'm bringing it up. But I'll tell you, knowing Meir over the years, I could tell you he was a very serious. Even he carried a lot of melancholy. He wasn't just this frivolous person. I'm giving this as an example that he had that. There's people who actually are very deep dafka that have this dafka then almost not only can, but they almost have this need of having gaiety in their life. Okay, so Steve, I'm leading towards so what we're laying out is that there's a sort of frivolous type of laughing and what we would call silly laughter, or even what some would call happiness, but it's not really genuine, fully happiness. It's the type of laughing that you laugh, but you're still not relieved of your suffering. If it's just there to cover, to mask up. Then there's true simcha, the true simcha that we speak about when we're living a life of freedom of Yiddishkeit, freedom of tapping into the the joy is tuv levav, like the Holy Kotzker Rebbe says, that there's one that the idea of simcha tuv levav being happiness is not one of the 613 mitzvahs, but without it, all the 613 mitzvahs won't work. It's like it is the glue. It's the mojo that makes all the mitzvahs happen, right? And it brings the gladdening of the heart, as the term is. And the Rambam even has it more than once, especially in the laws of Sukkot and other places. The importance of just being joy, and we know how much that's one of the main emphases of Chassidus. If you had to make a list of what if you don't want to use the word innovate, because Chassidus didn't mamish make brand new stuff so much as bringing up to prioritizing already existing themes in Yiddishkeit, and one main one is simcha, right? Like we say, Rav Nachman says, mitzvah gedayla li is b'simcha tameh. It's always to be b'simcha. You see in Tanya, the Alter Rebbe speaks about b'simcha mitzvah, true joy, and so on. So what is this true joy? True joy is tapping into a place that's higher than reason. It's that place beyond the binary, beyond things of making sense. Because most things of joy is again coming from the unexpected, things that are not in the normal cycle of cause and effect. Things that are coming from a state of absolute expansion. Like the joy, they say that even the most stingy person, when he's marrying off his only child, he's just full of such ecstatic joy. He would give up his, like a wealthy stingy person will just splurge everything for others, because the heart opens, right? What's the word? Yismach leiv, mevakshe Hashem. We say Yismach leiv. Mevakshe Hashem, Yismach leiv, mevakshe Hashem. I'm waiting for you. I'm searching for you. Searching for you, right? So Yismach leiv, this joy of the heart, to let just the heart loose, let the heart open, and we're breaking through. It's a simcha peiretz together. Joy breaks all boundaries, all gates up. That is it. It's getting from our limited, finite selves and tapping into the infinite and absolute existential of godliness. The atzmos, the simcha peiretz together. That is what joy does. It makes us leap, not just take steps, but push it, get up and dance. That's leaping, going these quantum shifts in us. That is what simcha is, tapping into there. So when we're in the state of real, absolute simcha, then we can actually, again, that bypass even things that seem like suffering now, right? Like we know the story of the famous thing, Rabbi Akiva, the story that more than once he laughed when all his fellow Pir Chacham and sages were crying. The famous seeing the fox going through the destroyed mountaintop, and all the Chachamim, the scholars were crying, but he was laughing. Why? because he saw that if this was fulfilled, then certainly the happy ending will be fulfilled of the future when Mashiach comes. So that's another thing, that laughing is also indicating of our emunah, our faith that things will be good. It's not just for the now I'm laughing about the what's going to come out, the outcome of the now into the future. That's part of the laughing. Like the name Yitzchak even is the word Yitzchak, which means supposed to laugh, and Pan Yitzchak is that is in the future tense, right? Because Sarah said, "What do you mean I'm going to have a child?" But he said, "No, God tells Sarah, no, don't." Or the three angels come to visit. No, you don't see it, but you're going to be laughing. You're going to be laughing at joy when you're going to have your son Yitzchak born. Yes.
I wonder if anything in this connection, because supposedly there's a halacha that we're not really meant to laugh,
right,
until Mashiach comes. Is there any
Is there any what? You're breaking up a bit. Is there any what?
I'm sorry, on that idea, or
okay.
Down the Gemara, that we're not really meant to be joyous.
Right. Is that this verse is also used why officially we shouldn't even be playing music instruments until Mashiach comes and all that. So the answer is that yes. In other words, it's not that we hold ourselves in fully and you're supposed to be depressed until Mashiach comes. No. But the joy that when Mashiach comes will be exponentially so much greater. So whatever joy we already have now is just a scintilla of the real joy that we'll have. I would say even more in the Hasidic approach is we're already foreshadowing the times of the redemption by being happy already now. And like it says, like preparing ourselves for it by being happy now, right? It says when Mashiach comes, says there'll be Leviathan, Leviathan zeh yatzarta l'sachik ba. The Leviathan that you created to l'sachik ba, to laugh and joyously to play with, right? So the idea of Leviathan, the food of tzaddikim, of the righteous, the world to come, is related to laughing. They say tzaddikim now is being that they're already in a stage of living like in the world to come. That's why tzaddikim can channel laughing even more than others. There was a big avodah, a big work, a thing of different tzaddikim that would laugh. It seems silly, you ever have laughing sessions? I've had it with my friends. I've had more than once, like a good hour or two, just laughing. Of course, we had some assistance of certain things we ingested, but even without it, there is this thing. There's laughing yoga, laughing lotus, and what have you. So there is this laughing therapy. Very good, sure. The Chinese say laugh and then you'll be happy. That will make you happy, rather, right?
And there's the laughing cow, the little cheese wedges.
The what?
Laughing cow, the cheese wedges.
The laughing cow, cheese. Laughing cow. I hear you. Yeah.
Little wedges of cheese that come in.
Wedges of cheese.
Oh yeah.
All right. I heard of the term, but I'm not 100% sure what it means. What does it mean? Laughing cow in this.
It's just a brand name.
Oh, it's a brand name. It's not like a Hindu thing. Okay.
No.
Maybe. Okay. Good one. And then famously we have the verse that we say every Friday night. Is v'hadar levosha v'tischak liyayim acharay. Right? Might and beauty are her garments, and she'll laugh on that last day.
Love that song.
Oh, right? That's the Breslov song. What's about Tischach and she'll laugh on that last day? What is that last day? The last day of Mashiach, when Mashiach comes. So we're all building up to this whole world is a comedy, not a tragedy, right? In the classical definition, that tragedy is that which begins maybe more happy and ends unhappy, whereas comedy is something that begins maybe unhappy and then it becomes happy.
Baruch, is it that she'll laugh
or
that she'll be playful?
Good question. So there's two words. There's chayk with a sin, there's tzichayk with a tzaddik. So we use it interchangeably. But tzichayk with a sin could be both. Okay?
L'sachek, to play.
L'sachek, to play. The reason why it's called to play is because it's related to this idea of laughing. So you'll see that in traditional sources, they're used interchangeably. Tzichayk and sichayk are used interchangeably, okay? Just so you know. So even though you're right that sichayk, usually, right, could usually a lot of times means play, but it could also be meaning laughing. And the association of play with laughter is self-explanatory. So there it is. There's another word. The same letter, sichayk, sin, ches, vav, kuf. But if it's you read it shichayk, shichayk means to rub down or to grind or to rub. Okay, so it has a different connotation. That means you could see something even that, like it says almost that's from the suffering comes the reward, meaning the laughter coming through the laughing. Like we said, a comedy. That those that go through suffering times, they can really appreciate laughing or happiness more. So through that kvetchkeit, those who go through the kvetchkeit could get to the joy, right? That's the idea here, too, on the trajectory from exile, from to Geula, to redemption. So it's a bottom line that it's all looking positively to the future. We also know that David HaMelech, King David, King David also was into laughing. We know when he was going after the Holy Ark, he was dancing. He was dancing like a total happy wild man, even to the point where people thought he was a little mad. And then he says, and I, however you want to define it, I played or I was laughing before God, meaning it was this beautiful thing, nice thing, positive thing, to be in this state of laughing. There's the other time where laughing is seen in a positive light. It says, a famous Gemara, that Rabbah, or some version of Rabbah, says that before one is to teach, you should make that before he would teach. It says serious stuff. He would first make a joke. And then. And meaning that because they were about to sit down and learn deep stuff that demanded reverence, and of Torah. So therefore,
he joined Baruch Taylor's group. 1 second.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Baruch? Say hi to my brother.
Oh, this is your bro? Hi, bro.
Yeah.
Mr. iPhone. Good. If you want to share your name, fine. If not, well, the better, or whatever. But I see you. Great. Awesome. So I mean, if as being Yassi's brother, that's amazing. Now I'm trying to, trying to remember. There's actually one of the jokes that it's brought down. Rabbi, I think it was Rabbi who said before his learning, right? So it's almost like comic relief, we call it. Like any good talk, you'll see a good rabbi sermon, a good lecture, whatever. You start off with something not serious. You start off with a quip, a story, even a joke, all the better, and everyone gives a chuckle, a laugh, and that loosens people, breaks the tension, and then you could dive into the serious stuff, and then it enters all the more. It's more absorbed. It refines our receptive vessels, our receptive neurons, our heart to be open to receive better, more.
Adar, a perverter.
A perverter, very good. A Purim vector, right?
Right. That's why I said Adar, not Adar.
Right, right. So now I don't know why it's escaping my brain this moment. Maybe if I have time to look it up again. But I remember back in the day, I don't think it's in Gemara. I think it's more of a medrash. Maybe it's in the famous medrash on Megillas Esther that that has the Targum Sheni to it, or something. That one of the jokes that Rabbi would say actually had to do with Megillah, right? Like the students were sleeping, and they made something about 127 Medina, Sheva Vesrime Medina, saying it's connected to Sarah's 127 years. Does anyone remember the Rabbi's joke in this? So it was either when the rabbis saw that it started speaking, they would make the joke, or if they saw that everyone's getting bored or trying to fall asleep, they would make a joke. Right? So what we see is what joke is doing, laughter, which brings laughter, is opening up again and also waking people up. So why is this happening? Because it is tapping into a place that's beyond reason, into the absurd, into the comical, into the infinite, as we were saying before. That's holy joy, holy laughter. Laughter. If you remember, a few months ago, I gave over a whole story, or if a while ago, I'm not going to repeat it because I mentioned over the years I said it more than once. The story of when the Baal Shem Tov laughed 3 times Friday night, and then he goes after Shabbos on a great travel. He meets up with Shapsi Binder, and they find out it was when he was dancing in honor of Shabbos. After not thinking he'll have what to make Shabbos with. And that was the 3 laughs, and that led to the Kazhnitz, and Shatzi Binder gave birth to the Kazhnitz Magid, the holy Kazhnitz Magid from that. So the thing of laughing tzaddikim, and also to channel. There's another thing of laughing, and this I remember when I was a teenager in yeshiva. So we had a great teacher, which was our principal, Rabbi Mendel Tenenbaum, from the old school, from Poland, from before the war. So we were kids, and we weren't the most, the way teenagers are. We weren't always the most respectful, orderly. So what we did is we found a broken chair that had only 3 legs, and I mean, in retrospect, this was terrible what we did, but it stood by itself until someone sat on it, obviously. So for his seat. For the shiur, for the class, we set up this chair with 3 legs, and the Rabbi Tenenbaum comes in, and he sits down, and he falls, right? So we all start breaking out laughing. We expected him to be really upset at us, obviously. What he did, he could have hurt himself and being disrespectful. But he got up, put that chair for side, and he started laughing with us. He starts laughing. So his laughing with us shut us down, like confused us, like we didn't expect that reaction. And we became silent and serious from that, which was probably part of his intention. And he got our So then he sat down on a good chair, and he looked at us and he said, "No, that there's a vart." I think he said it from the name of a Pinchas Karitsa, the great Chassid student of the Baal Shem Tov, who said that why is it that when someone hurts himself or something falls down, people start to laugh. Everyone should be crying. What's the joke with laughing? He says, because really that person should have been hurt even more. But through the laughing, that is mamtikt in him, and we say in Kabbalah and Chassidus, it sweetens the harsh judgments. It lightens the severity of the situation and protects the person from going even worse. So he was saying this, that not only that we were laughing for that he himself was laughing for that. And guess what? After that happened, we never did any of this shtick with him again, of course. We realized what type of person and level he's at. By the way, there's a custom, I see it spreading over these last few years more and more. I think it starts in Breslov, some Kabbalists and others, other Chassidish places that's been spreading. There's a thing during Kiddush, and especially by Havdalah, before Besamim, people start laughing. So some of it looks a little like forced, even like shtick. But no, there's something there. It's to channel laughing into the holiness of Shabbos, or channeling that positive from above energy into the rest of the week, into the new week. So there's something about being that. Of course, a genuine laughing, of course. And again, it's opening up. I don't know if you've seen this movie "Life is Beautiful" with Roberto Benigni, the Italian. I think he won an Oscar for it. So it's a very interesting makeup. The movie begins as a comedy, but then before going to the concentration camps, but then when it goes to concentration, it becomes a real serious movie at the end. And people at the end, at the second half of the movie, are crying and bawling out. Why is it? Because the laughter, people were so genuinely laughing at the first part of the movie, it opened them up so much. And it came to the second half, they're already so receptive emotionally to anything, and just the tears that's pouring out. And that's another point. I think I mentioned it briefly last week, that there's a thin line also between laughing and crying, because they're both emotional. I don't want to say triggers, emotional valves. Let's say there's and therefore it could work the opposite way. People could begin crying and start laughing too. So why is that? Because the laughter and the crying both are coming from, in Kabbalah, it's called the Meisrei Chachma, the remnants, the residue of the mind, or actually things that even transcend rational thinking. It's basically it's a pre-conscious emotional state, which according to Kabbalah and Chassidus is related to the realm of kesed, crown. Okay, so in this realm, the laughing, the tragedy, and comedy could be switched from one to the other quickly, immediately. It's free, right? So this explains why the Adar, which is this month of reaching the pre-consciousness, the lo yada, the not knowing, particularly Purim, which is a time where we say Baruch Haman and Baruch Haman are one and the same. Blessed Baruch, curse Haman are one and the same, that they're almost interchangeable, and all that. And in fact, in the Megillah, right, it says when Haman leaves the private banquet with Achashverosh and Esther, he says Vayetze Haman happy, right? So he's in the straight is happy. And then what happens? He passes Mordechai, and Mordechai won't bow down to him. Suddenly he switches. He becomes angry. The same person just 2 seconds ago he was like supposedly happy. Now it's right. So of course Haman's happiness is not genuine happiness. That is the happiness. It's called litzannus. Litzannus means being foolish, being silly, being obnoxiously, what's the word? Even prankstery. Litzannus. I don't have a better word.
Clownish.
What?
Clownish.
Clownish to.
Litzan is a clown.
Ah, okay. In modern
clownish.
Hebrew. Right. So, but you're correct in modern Hebrew, and it's related to It seemed derogatory. Like we say, Meshav Leitzim Layasha, we say in the beginning of Psalms. Don't sit amongst all these Litzanim, right? Now let's is associated. I'm going to put it up on. I have it on this sheet that I put up, made up. Also, the let's is associated with Amalek. There's this verse in that says, "Let's taka," that to be a state of let's, and the Medrash says, as you said, is that this refers to Amalek. There's other places that Pelishtim, the Philistines, are mentioned as Litzanim, which is why it says when the Israelites left Egypt, they didn't go. Right, they don't stop to Plishtim because basically not to be exposed to this state of unholy, false joy, laughing and joy, which is let's. Another thing? Let's is gematria 120. 100, like 30 plus 90. 120 represent the 120 different possible combinations of the name Elokim. Aleph Lamed Hey Yud Nun. Right, it has 5 letters, so there's 120 possible combinations. It means all the ways. Elokim is the name of God as manifested in the darkness of our world. That means when things are concealed. That let's is a state of dark. Let's call it dark humor almost. Not in the classical, not in the definitional modern sense of dark humor, meaning humor coming from certain tragic things, but dark humor meaning that nonsensical or even derogatory, unholy humor is dark humor. Basically, that's the point. And the darkness of the world is being channeled through Elokim. So we see how let's and Elokim are connected. That is on the dark level. Whereas Sechayk, positive, holy laughing, holy happiness, sin, ches vav kuf, is gematria 414. 414 is the same exact gematria of Ein Sof, of infinite light. And when we have positive joy, we're tapped in with that infinite light, which is also 414 is 2 times the word Oir. Oir is 207. Times 2 is 414. So right away we see that there's a difference between let's, litzanis, unholy happiness, which incidentally, let's 120 is the same gematria as what was it? What did I say? There's another word related to. Okay. All right. Okay, we'll leave it at that. There's another. Yeah. The suffix is 200.
We have in benching the word sechok pinu ulashonenu rina.
Right, I mentioned that.
I missed it. Sorry.
All right, that's what we say. Right, that's for the future. Correct. I said it quickly, so it was swallowed up amongst, say, speaking about Rabbi Akiva and about Tatislach Liyom Acharon. Yes, I have it on here typed up also. By the way, it says also there's also a type of litzanis that's positive. It says the Gemara says you're not allowed to do litzanis, like stupid, silly, unholy type of humor, except for avodah zarah, except for idolatry. Then you're allowed to put it down. Like you fight, being that idolatry, Amalek and Haman and all that is litzanis. So you fight, like we say, fire with fire. We fight litzanis with litzanis. So the only time you could use real put down, like not great humor is that. Okay. So again, we see that laughter and even humor, even it sounds it has a duality. It could go 2 extremes, from the most unholy to the most holy. Like joy too. There's the most unholy joy, as we mentioned, like Haman's joy, simcha, right? Samech v'tev lev, versus us, simcha v'tuv levav, holy worshiping, Torah mitzvah's joy, right? Because why? Because this is again, tapping into something that is pre-binary, a place which is even beyond good and evil, if for lack of better description. All right. That's why we drink also wine. Wine on Purim, which makes us in this intoxicated state, also does that, as we know, and there's Medrash mentions this too, that wine at times at the beginning makes you really happy, that at the end it can make you start crying or being sad. You see this, especially people who are unfortunately drunks. You see it happening. The Medrash has different levels of behavior, like an animal, also different levels of drinking, getting intoxicated. And we see wine is the beverage that is tapping into this dual or beyond duality of a binary of the holy and unholy, which explains also why the Megillah starts with a banquet with wine and drinking wine, because it's setting up and tapping us in to this dimension or of where we could transform. Why are we going there? It's not to tap into them. It's like the way the Baal Shem Tov's work is, that when you have something negative down here, is to go up to its source, where at that source where the negative and the positive are more or less are one entity, then you could sweeten and transform the negative into positive. So too, when we take through whether we're sad, the tears, we go to its source, a place beyond sadness and happiness, and then we could transform it to happiness. And also, if we're for whatever unfortunate reason we're exposed to unholy happiness, which almost by that is synonymous with the sadness or melancholy, then you're going back to its source. Then you could make it holy happiness, joy, positive joy. Okay, so then we're connecting. So then we're making it all one. So that is why this month, which is Adar, is as shown in Kabbalah, Sefer Yetzirah, is related. The activity is related to laughing. Incidentally, they say laughing is one of the only, a lot of the activities, especially the ones brought down Sefer Yetzirah to all the 12 months, are things that animals can also do: sleeping, waking, eating, drinking, But laughing seems like something that's mostly almost, I don't know, animal psychology. I don't want to make any blanket statements. Seems like it's unique to human psychology. I know you can look at certain animals, it looks like they're laughing, but I don't know if they're really laughing out of humor, if you know what I mean. I'm not well versed in animal psychology, but they like saying humor at least, or heightened humor, the way we understand is that, speaking of which, Freud has a whole small treatise on the psychoanalytical approach to jokes, to laughter. I saw it maybe like 30 years ago. Maybe I'll look at it again to see how someone as serious as Freud takes jokes. Like they say, comedy is a serious business, right? Ask any comedian. And I have a friend who tries to do comedy. He tells me, and he's also an amazing chazan and other things. He tells me, Baruch, everything else is easy, but to be a good comedian, that's the hardest work. That's the most he puts it in. He's like sweating and so serious. The jokes, the act, the timing, the prepping. I never see, who wants the stress of being a comic, Then of course you have that famous movie King of New York, where De Niro plays just a psychomaniac stand-up who's really bad, who takes what's his name hostage. Who's that old school comedian that the French like so much? What's his name? Oh my God! Anyone out there? Remind me. All right. Anyway, this is good. I'm forgetting pop culture. Who needs that?
Oh, Mel Blanc.
No, not Mel Blanc. 1950.
The voice of Porky Pig?
No. Jerry Lewis. That's who it is. Jerry Lewis.
Oh, Jerry.
Jerry
Yeah.
Lewis. Yeah.
Also
Okay.
Jewish. Mel Blanc and
Right.
Jerry
Okay.
Lewis.
Yeah. All right. So there we are. Now there's a whole other area of humor. There's like gallows humor. You know, there's someone even wrote a whole book on jokes humor of the Holocaust. Not go there. There's the other type of humor of the Germans. It's called Schadenfreude. Humor comes through to, you know, the joy of being, or I would say humor, the joy of being in suffering, Schadenfreude, whatever, whatever the psychology is behind that. So there are all these varieties of this interplay between joy and sorrow, joy, you know, laughter and crying, happiness and pain and or suffering, and on and on and on. But we covered enough of that for now. So to which I'd like to add the second part of the spleen. What does the spleen have to do with this month? It's actually, the answer is it's related to mamash, what we're talking about. Why? In the following way, that maybe I'll share with you very quickly, also more sources. Wait. Oh, here it is. All right. So there's a Gemara at the end of Tractate Brachas that goes through different parts of the body and what is its function on a psychological level. So it's a Tana Rabbanon here, Brachas 61a. So it says, you know, like the kidneys give advice, the heart understand, yada yada, go out, and also for certain functions, like the liver for anger. Here, the word for Hebrew for spleen is tchayil, ches vav lamed, right? What is tchayil? Seichek. Tchayil, the spleen leads to as laughter. We know the spleen is physiologically is the organ that takes in the blood and filters the blood. So it's a place both where it's building up the toxic whatever of the blood, and it's also purifying the blood. So it has this dual function to it. Just keep that in mind. Blood means life, kadam hu nefesh, what we live off of. Okay, but of course, okay. So here it is. So the spleen is here. It says seichik, laughing. Some say seichik here should be read with a shin, seichik, like rubbing, grind, what's wearing down, so to speak. But we will follow the way Rashi says. Rashi says also means seichik, to laugh. Kidneys, no, I said kidneys is klois. Klois, that's before.
No, I was talking about filtering the blood.
Oh, filtering the blood. Good question. You want to look it up yourself? I thought so too, but I've seen and looked up, and at least in Jewish sources, if you could tell me, if you were looking up now, what does the spleen do? If anyone wants to add to this, what's the difference between the kidneys filtering and the spleen filtering the blood? I don't know. I think the liver also filters the blood. So, you know, but I'm just passing on information, and especially the way it's understood in Jewish sources. All right. So here we see that spleen is something of a positive. Does something positive. And not only positive, it's mamish related to what we're talking about being laughter. So it makes sense why the spleen would have to do with this month. However, when we look in Kabbalah, there's a different twist. Actually, the spleen is seen negatively. There's a Kabbalah, there's a piece in Tikkunei Zohar, which is a later part of the Zohar, which mentioned that associates the spleen with melancholy, depression, even atzmut, depression. Then I found a piece of the actual Zohar from Pinchas that associates the spleen with Lilith. Do we know the most negative, one of the most negative satanic demonic forces, right? The famous Lilith. And that's the Zohar, that's on your screen right now, Techoil. And the Zohar says the Techoil, and based on a verse saying that King Solomon says, and I saw all those that were trapped or ensnared, or all trappingness that's under the sun, and behold, the tears of those that are captive or trapped. Who are they? Mani Nashukin. These are children who are trapped, they're under the domain of the strength of their mothers. The Salkin Ma'oma Ayidei Malchamavis, who depart from the world, they're taken away from the world through the angel of death. And by through power, and there's no consolation. Who is this power, and who is doing this negative of killing off these babies, basically, without going into the technical details based on the verses. Basically says Vidal Lilith. This is Lilith, the Ihi Mamana Dahiu Aishek, that she is she's the one who runs, is appointed one to take care of those that are trapped, and basically these babies are taken from their mothers. And this the Ihi, and she, meaning Lilith, Ihi Ikritcha, and she's called the spleen. The Azlas v'chaycha beyinuka, and she goes and laughs at the children. So this is demonic laughing. So again, like we said before, that there's holy laughing, and then there's unholy laughing, even dark laughing. There's mocking laughing, and so on. That is represented by Lilith, who that does this laughing, and then ubasar abdis behu rugzad diman, and after this laughing at the mocking the children, then comes rage and tears, the mifki alayh, to cry on them. And then it goes on to say that the liver is death in the grand scale, and spleen represents death on the smaller scale. So here we see that the spleen is associated with negativity all the way. Okay. So guess what? Looking into this, I found the Reb Nachman in Likutei Moharan that he speaks about the spleen too. And there too, in one Torah, he speaks about in really negative terms. And in another Torah, he speaks about it in positive terms. And they both have to do with the concept of wealth, money, economics. And do we see money as positive or not? That in one Torah, he associates money as something negative that brings arrogance and depression and all that, and all the temptations of that money and wealth can bring, which is, he says, coming from the spleen. That's in the first volume of Likutei Moharan that was printed first. Then in the second volume of Likutei Moharan of Reb Nachman, which was printed later, he says almost an opposite thing. So what I wanted to do is share these two sources, so we could see this almost, I forget this polarity of what the spleen is. Okay, and you may see where the thesis is going here too. This notion of opposites contained in one thing, which seems to be the theme that we're playing around here. So let's see the first Likutei Moharan Torah. No, not this. Where is it? Here. So it's Likutei Moharan Torah number 23. There's a long prelude to it. There's 5 chapter parts before this, but we're going to go straight to the point. He's talking about the temptation, the taiva, the indulgence of money. He says, well, I could start anywhere here. let's start here. That says, I trust in you. When we say in we say in Psalms 55, right? What is this trust in you is the opposite of being indulgent, the temptation of money. Because one who is immersed, who's steeped, like really sunken into mushka, in the temptation, in the taiva, indulgence of money, cannot trust in God, because he's worshiping something else. He's worshiping the money, and by extension, he could worship any idolatry. But when you trust ani, and when you say bani aftach, I trust in you, O God, O Lord, then that you will you are able to bring me my parnasa, my sustenance, in any even easy way. And even if not, I will be happy in whatever part I do have up to now, even if I'm not wealthy, and I won't be caught up in the taiva of money. So then that is true of bitachon, true trust in God. Therefore, all those that are steeped in money, the more wealthy you are, the more worries, melancholy, even depression you have. Depression, melancholy. Because this is all of his great wealth is like it says the verse. I think it's from Kahelet, Mishlei Kahelet. I forgot one of the. It means that you will eat with bitzave, with sadness, with depression, right? Which is the face of darkness and death, as he's discussed. Therefore, that's right. As said, okay. And therefore, it says, as we know, the famous from ethics of our fathers, picking up is mar b'nechasim, mar b'daiga. The more possessions you have, the more worries you have. And okay, because all right, and therefore the money and wealth shortens and destroys the days and life of a person. Because there's nothing that loses, that means less, it destroys basically one's life force than worrying and being depressed, as known to the professional and to the field of to doctors. So therefore it destroys and ends your life, because through having so much of this money and wealth, you're bound to the other side, to the other gods, to darkness, to the aspect of death, the opposite of the light of the light of the living God. Therefore, money kills. All right, his language is redundant, so therefore I'm not reading it all through. I'm just giving you the point. And this is. So now he's taking a twist on the verse that it says that the snake, the curse of the snake is that the snake will eat dirt in all the days of his life. That this dirt is the money, because there's a verse that says, like the dirt of the gold is his. That means the money will eat up the days, will shorten one's life. Okay? And also dirt, the earth per se represents depression, which is like it says in the Tikkun that earth afar is cold and dry, like the spleen, which is cold and dry. Okay, so here we see he's associating earth, money, all the other things we're talking about, depression, death, yada yada, with being from the cold, dry spleen. And depression comes from the spleen, as is known. Okay, so here we see openly Reb Nachman is associating the spleen in the most negative way. to extreme depression and bad wealth. And again, here he's bringing down what similar to what we read before, that chayil, that the spleen from the Zayar is Lilith, the mother of the Erev Rab, the mother of the mixed multitude, the ones who were against Moses, the ones who worshipped the golden calf, right? The laughter of the spleen. So here he's seeing this laughter as negative laughing. The ksil here, it means here the fool, the not good fool. The evil inclination, the Yetzer Hara, is termed Melech Zaken Ksil, the old foolish king. So ksil. So this is the negative, unholy laughing. Man ksil da ke'el acher. The Zohar Tekunim says, who's the fool? That is the other, basically the idols, the other gods and the unholy gods. The ones that make all the problems and eventually kill us off. It snares us, like Lilith, right? And that's death that first makes us forget. And then and again repeats that all those steeped in money, is depressed, The other side. Shekol zeh hu b'chinas hatchayil. Again, it comes from the spleen. Tzchayk haksil, the laughter of the fool. The word tchayil and ksil even sounds similar. Kills us off. Right, so there's a lot of redundancy here. And that is the negative attribute of feminine. It's related to, like, there's another Zohar that says that the term isha, that the opposite of when you find a woman, you find it good, is that we'll find that the woman, the Gemara brings down this idea that one spouse, there's the bitter association, but then there's the good association. So the bitter one here is the Tikkun Zayar associates with the spleen. But if you do, okay. All right, so here, this Torah 23 of volume 1, look at the Torah, you see how negatively Reb Nachman sees the spleen. But then look at this Torah. Part 2, Torah volume 2, Torah 83. We're after going off on, let's see what speak about. It first begins about speaking about the holiness of Shabbos. That's when you ultimately know the true knowledge beyond the unknowing, and when we truly become free, and we create this holiness in our space, and in our prayer. Hamakom, God is referred to Hamakom, the space, especially on Shabbos. And then we get rid of our toxins, and we put on holy clothes for Shabbos, like we're in Gan Eden, in Garden of Eden. And even our bodies become holy. That the holy body is called Shabbos, and we're healed from all of our leprosy, flesh. And then our mazel is elevated, and we become, and this channels into wealth, and our yetzer, good inclination, becomes good and better. And then through that we get rid of our depression and litzanos. And again, the word litzanos again, our folly, that comes from melancholy, from our shchayra. Because depression comes, here he says, the opposite of what we learned before. Here he says, depression comes from poverty and living a hard life, economic difficult life. Dachkus vaniyus. Okay? V'halitzanos hischayk haksil, and litzanos is the laughter of the fool. Again, the fun. The Gemara we saw, the spleen laughing. So hey nisbat l'mayidei hamazel shirus. So here he's saying the opposite. That here he's also still seeing that the chayil is something of litzanis and folly, but he's saying here this is a pro-wealth statement of Nachman, that wealth gets rid of the depression. Earlier, first Adar, he said that wealth is the cause of depression. Here he's saying the opposite. Wealth gets rid of depression and the good side. So how could that be? And I mean, even though he's saying here that the tchayil is maybe a foolish laughing, but even so, that if we're going to read like earlier, that tchayil is like the spleen is related also to wealth, so there has to be a place where the spleen is also being able to channel positivity, positive wealth, not negative wealth. So as of the why does Reb Nachman look at wealth in these opposite ways? That's a whole long other discussion. What the pros and cons of wealth, the pros and cons of the temptations of wealth. We know the very famous ethics of a father who is really, truly wealthy, one who's happy with his lot. So again, we see wealth is associated with with being happy. If you're not happy, you're not wealthy. We know all the stories of all the billionaires that were depressed. I forget the name of that famous novel, I think by Goethe already, of the wealthy person who committed suicide because he was so wealthy. He got all depressed. He had no happiness in life, nothing to change. If you're always, especially people born into wealth, and they don't appreciate it and do nothing, it's life could, ironically, they could be more depressed than poor people. So without going too deeply into that whole discussion, the nature of wealth in general, and in Torah specifically, and even more specifically in Chassidus, and even more than that specifically in Reb Nachman, just suffice it to say that we see that there's an element, that the origin of laughing, at least, is related to the spleen. And there too, it could even be either be seen in a negative way, as the cause of depressing and unholy wealth, or the source, or leading to holy wealth and laughing. Why is this? Because the answer is similar to the very nature of laughing that we said before. It also has polar and even opposite extreme. It expresses both sides, the unholy laughing and the holy laughing. So too the body part where it's coming from. And again, why? Because it's originating from a place that's beyond both the unholy and the holy in a way. And from there, you could tap in, and again, you could transform and make this from the even heal the spleen from being an unhealthy spleen to being health, like the best healthy spleen. Okay, so enough on the spleen. Maybe someone has a spleen joke in there for us to, but or work spleen away. I don't know what, but we get the point. So this is again how it's related to this month in general. This time of beyond the binaries and especially Purim. Okay, the recordings and catch up, and that's in addition to, as mentioned earlier, the Thursday night from last week Shalom. That's on the Shalom page. Thursday night Shalom is called. All right. So good. Have a great one. Happy Adar, everyone, and we'll see you back here next week, and we'll continue. Next week is going to be prep for Purim. Okay, it's the last Wednesday before Purim. So do tune in, and we're going to have a grand fun time. All right. Maybe I'm suggesting maybe we do a little masquerade thing. If someone has something something, a mask, a thing, a vart, or something. We'll make a Purim dik next week, okay? That's the bottom line. All right, so everyone, Benapechu, Keravel, turn over. Asher used to do, Ayudim, Heim of the Seinehem. Asher used to do, Ayudim, Heim of the Seinehem. Tov. And chazak, Bidis chazek. My mother baked a chocolate cake, and in the cake there was a lake, and in the lake there was a fish, and in the fish there was a, as we would say in kindergarten. All right. Bye, everyone. Facebook. Oh, let's do the Good Shabbos song, and then we're going to stay in Zoom. Whoever wants the final touches at the very end. Okay. So, Good Shabbos. Steve Zushka, Good Shabbos, and Adar. Good Shabbos, Adar, Jonathan, Good Shabbos, Adar. Good Shabbos, Beth, Good Shabbos, and a happy Adar, Beth. Good Shabbos, a happy Adar. Ariel, Good Shabbos, happy Adar. Good Shabbos, and a happy Adar, Rachel, and Mazel Tov. Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov is how many weeks to your wedding? I think 2 weeks. Everyone know it's Rachel M's wedding. It's going to be in Pittsburgh, Bez Hashem. I don't think I can make it, but hopefully we'll have Sheva Brachos and be able to join in there. So really happy. Simen Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simen Tov, Simen Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simen Tov. It's really connected, what we were saying before. That building the Mishkan, bring down the cloud the clouds is a reconfirmation of the marriage, the wedding of Matan Torah, given the clouds that came down, the chuppah of Matan Torah, of Mount Sinai. Mamish. So may Mamish manifest Rachel and your lucky, special, the chassid, your life partner. To Mamish be in this state of full joy, full openness, expression, and togetherness and unity. And always remember, unity comes through diversity. That's the part that was missing the whole night. Diversity. That's Pekudei. Diversity and Akal is unity. We need the both, the unity and diversity. You see, I'm not PC. I'm not into the woke, not woke. I don't know how it works. Diversity. What is it? The things on college campuses, the diversity, the training or programs. But Pekudei is diversity. It's not like this liberal idea. Okay. All right. Back to our program. Who else are we singing to? Oh, it's Shabbos of Happy Adar. Yossi, Good Shabbos, Happy Adar. Good Shabbos, Happy Adar. Yossi's brother, I feel Good Shabbos, Happy Adar. Good Shabbos, Happy Adar. Dana, Good Shabbos, Happy Adar. Who else was on earlier? Mamish. I know there were others here, but I Mamish can't remember. So it was Machanazeh, like we do in the Mishabeos, we collect them. Kol of Misubinkan. And all that were gathered here, the Shabbos, Happy Adar, here at Facebook land, and my family, especially my sister Leia's birthday, and all my friends, and the whole city, the whole country, the whole world, all the worlds, all the way to the highest and the lowest, and even to the Clippers, and the other side also. May go like we learned earlier before tonight, from the unholy happiness and laughing to the holy laughing, and back. Ha 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 ha. I wish Yosef, who was on last week, was from Israel, was on here. We used to call him crazy. Yosef Chas v'shalom, he's crazy. He's holy crazy. It's the highest level. It's a holy madness, holy folly. Meshuggah, you were asking before. We said very early before we even came on Facebook the story of the Meshuggah of Lubavitch, the holy Meshuggah, the highest level. So you go a little crazy even. This is the time to go crazy. It's Adar, Purim coming up. If not now, when? When else? This is the time where we're given opportunity to be lo yada or beyond. And next week, hopefully, we'll continue on the theme and in a very holy way of what we mean by this. I'm saying, if Yossi, I'm just laughing with Yossi. We used to have those laughing sessions too. or even Ellie Green, who comes on once in a while, who would also do some good laughing. So Mamish, let's everyone together who's still on, if you even want to show your face or not at home, we're going to do 10 seconds of holy laughing. Another dear friend of mine, laughing partner, was Heshi Schnitzler, who was in Tzfas and just moved to Yerushalayim. And my other friend, who's still in Tzfas, Aaron Keller, great laughing partners. By the way, the mayor of his Seraphim, we also spoke about his very famous laughing chorkel. It was between the high pitch and low pitch. It was the whole thing. I don't want it any negative, not the Joker, Chas v'sholem, from those dark movies of the Joker, not that type of laughing, Chas v'sholem, but we want good, holy, simcha laughing, yeah, not litzanis, right? Okay, so good night, everyone. Keep on laughing, keep on being happy, and laugh your way till next week, and see you all there, right? The whole wide world is laughing. Waiting to laugh with the song of Shabbos. The whole wide world is prepping to laugh with this laughing of Shabbos. We are all happy to embrace the laughter of Shabbos. We are so elevated to be part of the holy Shabbos. You know, Wednesday we say in the daily Shir Shayom, we already say L'chol Neranino L'Hashem Naharia. We're already starting the Neranina Naria to be that state. All right, can't wait. All right, so keep on being your highest Shabbostic level, and see you all next week. Goodbye, everyone out in Facebook land. And then we'll continue here, Zoom.